So if you clicked on this video, then that means you actually want to change your life in 2025. How do you change your life? Life is just made up of actions that are led by certain mindsets, whether good or bad. So whether or not you apply what I'm talking about in this video, if you had to take away one thing, it would be that to change your life, you need to change your actions and you need to change your mindsets. Okay, so what is the problem? We have all made New Year's resolutions, right? Every December 31st, January 1st, we write down these very ambitious goals and we're thinking to ourselves, this year is different. This year, I'm actually going to accomplish these things. But by the time February rolls around, we haven't actually made any progress and we've forgotten about these goals. So why does this happen, right? Why is it that every February, we kind of just forget about our goals and we never actually end up accomplishing them? Well, there's a few things. We forget about them. We create these super overcomplicated, not sustainable systems, hoping that it'll get us to where we want to be, but really it just completely overcomplicates the process. And also, we don't have a why. We don't have a true purpose for these goals. We just write a bunch of random goals on a random piece of paper and hope that thinking about them will get us to where we actually need to go. So how can we solve this problem? How can we make this year different and actually help our goals become a reality? Well, first of all, we need a true purpose, a true why for each of our goals to help motivate us and help us to just not stop and to keep taking action, keep working on these goals. And additionally, we need a simple and easy system that just makes taking action, working on these goals super effortless and sustainable so that, like I said, we don't forget, we don't get overwhelmed with our goals, but rather we just continue working on them to the end of the year. So this is a lot simpler than you think. In the past, I've had these very overcomplicated systems, very overcomplicated mindsets for accomplishing these New Year's resolutions, but really they're just goals. They're just things that we want to do, right? Things that we want to do are just different actions that we want to take in our life. So ultimately, we just need to be taking different actions every day. So it's so much simpler than you think, and it's a very easy process, and I'm gonna take you through it in this video. Additionally, I have a free Notion template that will guide you through this process with even more information. So if you want to get that, then that will be linked in the description below. It's completely free and it'll help you accomplish these New Year's resolutions. Okay, so the first step to creating these New Year's resolutions, creating this simple and easy system for accomplishing our goals, is to set our goals. Now, I'm sure you have lots of ideas for goals. Whenever I set New Year's resolutions, I have a whole long list of things that I want to do that year. But then I only ever end up accomplishing like 2 or 3. So the way I like to look at my goals is to have 3 main ones, right? You can't spread your butter so thin, right? You need to have 3 main goals that you can truly focus on, and then have those extra goals kind of as side quests, things that you'll be happy if you achieve, but if you don't achieve, but you still achieve your 3 main goals, then you'll be chilling. So the way that I like to set my 3 main goals is a physical goal, a spiritual goal, and a mental goal. Physical is pretty obvious, right? Things like I want to get fit, right? I want to do this many pull-ups. I want to hit this weight on bench, squat, deadlift, that kind of thing. Now, spiritual goals are a little bit harder to define, a little bit harder to quantify, right? Because there's not a set measurable for measuring our spirituality or our relationship with God, right? So spiritual goals are a little bit harder to define, but it's obviously still doable. And then mental goals can be a wide variety of things. It could be something you want to build, something you want to learn, a skill that you want to learn, a book you want to read, books you want to read, multiple books. Your mental goal can be a lot of things, and that's what I love about my mental goals, right? It can be a lot of different things. Now, it doesn't need to be physical, spiritual, mental, right? It could be so many other different systems that you like to use. I just like to use physical, spiritual, and mental, and you can be a little loose with it, right? Now, the most important thing about setting your goals is that you need them to be defined correctly. Get fit is not a goal, okay? Get fit is just an unspecific dream, right? How do you know if you're fit or not? How do you get fit, right? So when I set my goals, I find it is so much better when I'm defining my goals to think of processes rather than outcomes. So instead of get fit, right, that's a very broad, unspecific outcome. Instead of get fit, I would think work out 3 times a week, right? That is a much better goal because it's measurable, right? It focuses on the process rather than the outcome, and you can actually like schedule that into your calendar and actually take action on that. You can't take action on get fit, right? That's so unspecific, so broad. So if you had to take away one thing from setting goals, it would be to focus on processes rather than outcomes. So outside of your 3 main goals, your physical, spiritual, mental, or whatever system you decide to use, you will have a bunch of other goals, a bunch of other random things that you want to achieve. And I like to call those side quests because they're not necessarily necessary to make your year your best year yet, but they are still things that you want to accomplish, things to complete the game in a way. So in my Notion template, I'm allowing you to put all your goals, right? And you can still put your side quests in your template, but just deprioritize them. Don't prioritize them as much as you prioritize your 3 main goals. Now, an additional thing that I'd like to say is that you are not bound by the goals that you set on January 1st, right? A year is a very long time, 365 days, 12 months, pretty much 30 days per month. And that is a lot longer than most people realize. So don't feel like you need to get your life together in one day, January 1st, right? You are not bound by what you set in January. Maybe right now you're setting your 3 main goals and you find, yes, these are my 3 main goals, but then in April you're thinking, oh wait, I kind of want to deprioritize one of these goals and prioritize one of my side quests and make that a main goal. That's perfectly fine. So like I said, you are not bound by what you set in January, and you can always reprioritize. You can always change things in the middle of the year. I just think that's a very important point to get by, because when I set my goals in past years, I would think I need to make sure I have all of my goals set on January 1st, and I need to constantly be making progress every single day, and I was very bound by what I set in January, and that just completely made it unsustainable, super overcomplicated, and it ultimately just didn't help me accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. So you are not bound by the goals that you set in January. One last thing to say when you're setting your goals is that one of my favorite questions to ask myself when I'm trying to prioritize different goals, if you're struggling between deciding your 3 main goals, one of my favorite questions to ask is, if you could wave a magic wand and just automatically have one of these goals completed, which one of your goals would it be? And I think that's very helpful to understand what is your most important goal/goals, right? Find what your most important goals are. If you could wave a magic wand, which one of those goals would you automatically want completed? And make sure that you are prioritizing that goal this year as much as possible. Okay, so the second step in this process for setting New Year's resolutions and making sure that we're actually accomplishing them is the daily process. So if you want to actually accomplish your goals, you need to make sure that you're actually taking the right actions to work on those goals, right? So make sure that you are making progress on your goals, especially your 3 main ones, every single day. Have a daily deliverable for each of those goals, right? Block time in the calendar. I have this all set out in my Notion template, so if you want to get guided through this process of finding a daily deliverable, actually blocking it in your calendar, then definitely make sure that you use that template. But essentially, your daily process should just be filled with working on your goals, right? You can't make progress, you can't complete your goals if you're not actually working on them. So make sure that at least you're setting time in the day, even if it's for just 20 minutes, to work on each of your goals, especially your physical, mental, and spiritual goals, or just your 3 main goals in general. Now, how we work on these goals depends on each goal, right? Each goal is going to have a series of steps, an action ladder, if you will, of things you need to accomplish in order to actually accomplish that main achievement, right? So when we work on our goals, we need to make sure that we are being efficient and effective, right? We need to make sure that we are at our maximum capacity for working on these goals. And ultimately, that just leads down to having a good focus when you're working on these goals. And I have this all set out in my Notion template. I have a whole system for making sure that you can focus automatically to make progress on your goals. So, if you want to actually change your life in 2025, you need to have well-defined goals and a very simple system for accomplishing those goals. So your call to action is to get my Notion template. It's completely free, and it guides you through what I talked about in this video and more. It gives you a simple system for actually accomplishing your goals, having a well-defined goal and making progress on the complete action ladder for each one of your goals. So if you don't want to use my Notion template for whatever reason, maybe you don't use Notion as an app, then bare minimum, have 3 main goals, have them well defined with processes rather than outcomes, and write them down physically on a whiteboard or a piece of paper, put it on your wall, something like that. Once you've done that, block out time in your calendar every single day to work on your 3 main goals. And I think if I had to simplify changing your life in 2025 down, then that would be it. Now, the last thing that I want to say is that ultimately, I can't make you change. I can't physically make you accomplish your goals. So this is all on you. Do you actually want it enough? Do you actually want to complete these goals enough? If you actually want to complete these goals, and most importantly, if you have a bias to action, then I'm pretty much guaranteeing that you will accomplish these goals. With a simple system, you have a bias to action for actually completing these goals, and you actually want to complete these goals, then you're pretty much guaranteed to change your life in 2025. Now, your goals will not get accomplished. You will fail, just like last year, if you give up, you don't work on your goals consistently, you don't have a growth mindset, and you're always thinking how terrible you are and how much you need to fix, and you're not actually trying to grow through that. You're overwhelmed by all the things that you want to do. You're losing your motivation and your why and your purpose for all of your goals. And maybe sometimes you kind of get lost in the sauce, right? You get off track and you can't get back up. Your goals will fail if any of those things happen. But I designed this template to prevent those things from happening so that you can actually change your life and actually accomplish your goals in 2025. And even when the hardships come, even when the obstacles come, you're able to push past that and still accomplish your goals. Now, none of this is possible without simplicity. I tried to keep my Notion template as simple and easy to use because in the past, when I've created my own systems, I completely overcomplicated it. And I just got lost in the sauce, and I was never actually able to accomplish my goals. So none of this is possible if you completely overcomplicate your system, right? You need to have a simple, easy, sustainable system that actually works. So if you want to learn more about simplicity and how important it is and how I'm trying to incorporate it into my life, then definitely click on the video right here, because in it I talk about how important simplicity is and how we need to keep applying it in our life. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. I wish you the best of luck in 2025. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.